So when I first used the initial version of dynaroute itself, I was mind blown because the value proposition to the customer was made so clear in the application itself. And thanks to the product team for that. So let's say you are asking a simple query in the playground in the dynaroute. You can see for that particular query when you get the response, how much token is consumed in the query, how much tokens are consumed in the response, and then what exact cost are you incurring, and cumulatively, how much cost are you saving overall? Not for this query, for all your entire history of queries. Usually, if you have used a GPT or any model, what you see is not cost saving. What you usually see is how much cash is burned, right? You recharge your account for how many ever dollars, and then your API limit might reach the threshold, and then you have to again charge for some money. So the usual experience of users with LLMs is you have certain credits and you run out of credits. Here it's the opposite. You have certain credits and you see exactly how much you are saving. And when I played with it for the first time with different type of queries, I was deliberately asking difficult math problems, simple paraphrasing problems, and you could see that the routing was happening so seamlessly. And as a user who was just playing with this, I had a great experience. And we will also show you how exactly as an enterprise you can use your own playground. So you could have your own user interface, and just with a simple dynaroute API, you could be operating dynamic routing to different LLMs without having to have 15 different APIs. So I remember this was a few months back. I was working on some code and parallelly I was working on something else, and I was constantly switching between the user interface of cloud and then GPT, and that too sometimes between the GPT model. So it was honestly like a pain. And 1 year ago, I remember talking with one of my friends about this idea. Okay, now better and better models are coming. So does it mean that all the past models are now obsolete? Does it mean that always whichever is the best performing model, is that the only thing that is going to survive? Then he said that's not the case, as Rajit was also saying, and Raj also mentioned in his initial part. If you have an ant, you are not going to use a hammer. If there's an insect, to attack the insect, nobody uses a hammer. So cost is a big concern, especially when the volume of transactions are so huge. As an individual user, you may not see it, but as enterprise who might be making millions of queries very frequently, it's a big pain. So all the previous models which are probably less performing for more advanced queries, maybe yes, they are not useful, but for basic queries, they are still very useful because you get same performance as that of most modern models, but at a fraction of the cost. So you are not picking either of the extremes, you are picking somewhere in the middle. We have actually tested the performance of this model against various benchmarks. So there are two things that are evolving. One is different models are coming. So we'll be updating dynaroute with different models, whichever new models are coming. Plus new benchmarks will also evolve. At the moment, we have used the state-of-the-art benchmarks. And in general, we have seen that we can cut down the cost by anywhere between 50 to 70%